We're back.
Welcome to
What'll be day 26?
What a surprise.
For patrons, welcome
I'm
to
back.
day 26. For patrons, welcome to day 26.
Day
Of
26.
the extended advent calendar. But for everyone else watching on YouTube, Happy New Year.
Happy
2020.
Happy New Year.
2020. Isn't this the year of the next election? of the US?
2020.
We're all fucked.
2000.
Wait. Brexit
Yep.
and Kanye West as president.
We're all gonna die.
And Doctor Who Series 12 is
Hey.
coming out soon. Yeah.
It's good to know that the Earth has become a meme. You know?
That's the only way we can deal with the current climate,
Yeah.
man. Is just detach ourselves. from
We're just memes at this
Now,
point.
to bring it down a bit, to stop that, we're going to go back to some more interesting stuff. I have a question for you. Very crucial question, Jake.
Yes.
Who did the dyslexic devil worshipper sell his soul to?
The dyslexic devil.
Oh! I know. I think I figured it out. Can I say?
Wait, do you think you know?
Wait. It's the word devil. Okay, go.
Santa.
That's correct.
Hey, I got one.
Wait, what?
Satan rearranged.
Ah.
Of course, because we are watching the Satan Pit, or the Santa Pit, maybe. Christmas episode version of this, Santa
The
Pit.
Santa sack.
Well, Rose, I'm going to go to Santa Sack.
Just climb in.
Find
there.
myself a new TARDIS. Leave a comment if you want. We'll read them out at the end. I didn't read one for the last one. I don't know why.
We forgot to.
I must have forgotten to. Maybe it wasn't on my page. But
No, that's alright.
we'll
Gonna
do it
that
at some point. We'll do it at some point. Patreon.com/Universes and Design if you'd like to contribute to the channel. We have multiple tiers such as early access, exclusive access, and timey-wimey and master tier. And if requesting videos for us to do, you all know the drill. Twitter.com/GeoDesani if you want to talk about dyslexic Christmas. Anything else we want to talk about before we get into this episode, Jake? I think it's a read.
That was my neighbor.
With my Uber Eats, I'm meeting at the car.
Yeah. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year's. Happy January. Happy end of the world potentially.
Yeah, what a great way to celebrate these special times with an episode about Satan.
Yeah. Well, that could be what this year turns into. You never know. It's funny thinking about this, considering. Well, whatever. Yeah. Cool.
You sound very trepidatious about 2020, Jake. What's gone through your head?
Well, I don't know. It's October right now. We're recording this in
true.
2019, and I'm just not too sure what the next 2 months entail for me. You know, I've got my birthday next month. You know, happy birthday to me.
As do I. I got it very soon.
Yeah, you know, things are happening. Things are changing.
22 is kind of a scary age, isn't it?
I think so.
It's the first one where I'm like, I'm not sure if I want this.
I'm not sure if I feel 22. I mean, it's still young as fuck, but like, you know. Yeah.
But you know, after all your years of hard work and earning a living to stay alive, your reward at the end will be climate change.
Yeah. Wow. Bleak, dark. What's the point of living? Let's watch Doctor Who.
The Satan Pit.
I feel refreshed. I'm ready to embark on this
Energized.
second part of the story.
Now that it's midday, we've all woken up.
Yeah.
I was already awake.
Yeah, but
I wasn't.
No, neither were I.
You were woken up by the beast.
Maybe I am the beast. Got a tattoo of a dagger on my chest.
The pit is open.
The Satan Pit by Matt Jones. It's a me.
Oh.
Rip.
I love that shot. I love when people walk right up close, like they walk into a close-up.
Yeah.
Also, just imagine if your actual name was Zachary Crossflame.
You'd feel pretty invincible.
Yeah.
I'm fucking Zachary Crossflame. Nothing can beat me.
Adam's about to be treated by a Mexican meal.
Tasty.
Satanic. Idaho.
I don't know.
Maybe we open the prison but not the cell.
We should go down. I'd go. What about you?
It's that feeling you get, eh? Let's try that impulse. That my little voice saying, go on, go on, go on. Go over, go on. Retreat.
Apologies for eating on camera, but I haven't had anything all day, and I'm gonna pass out if I don't.
It's strategy 9. This is Captain Zachary Crossflame of Sentry Base 6, representing the Torchwood Archive. You will
Oh,
identify yourself.
Torchwood.
What do you want?
The Virgin.
The lost girl, so far away from home. The valiant child who will die in battle so very soon.
Maybe that's why the devil was being erotic, because Toby's a virgin.
Yeah. Maybe.
Toby, what about you?
I'm a soldier, I can't do anything.
No, you're the archaeologist.
You're a little virgin.
Know about the pit?
Wait, the doctor can survive without oxygen, right?
Well, he'd survive longer.
But he still needs it.
Right.
He'd regenerate. And then, the doctor's only got a limited amount of lives.
Bodies.
Yeah.
So he would just keep regenerating and then he would eventually die.
Yeah.
All sorts of viruses that can stop you.
Though, he does have a binary vascular system, so maybe he needs more oxygen than usual.
True. It's like Prometheus.
Yeah.
It's like that.
It's sort of this great unknown massive civilization.
Yeah.
Oh, into the abyss.
Straight on the T5 junction.
Oh,
We're at 7.1, sir.
it's one of my biggest fears. It's being in a tunnel like that with low oxygen.
Yeah.
Aerating the next section.
Danny, is that you?
I'm not exactly happy. I'm just moving the air. Got to oxygenate the next section.
It's getting a bit.
Keep
It's
calm.
getting a bit weirdly comedic.
Or it's going to feel worse. It must be the hood. They're in the tunnel.
But you're right, there is a bit of a tonal shift.
Got to get the air in. Ready? Turn left. Immediate left.
Well, that's terrifying.
And the worst thing to do is panic, because then you expend more air.
Thank you for your sacrifice, Mr. Jefferson.
Bad way to go.
Officer John Maynard Jefferson, PKD. Deceased.
Rest in peace.
Okay, 9.2.
Oh well.
Oh. It is the beast.
The beast is in control.
Relations to the horned beast right across the universe. Myths and legends of a million worlds. Earth, Deimos. The Carly God of War.
Deimos.
Over and over again, maybe.
It's a Pertwee reference.
Of course it is.
I believe I haven't seen everything, have I? travelling. To be proved wrong. Thank you, Ida. Talk to Rose. Just tell her.
Santa is real.
Hail Santa.
Oh, she
Whoa, that's not. It's not 30 feet, is it?
No.
It is.
It's beautiful.
Zachary!
To discover things.
Place.
Quite a beautiful place to die, honestly.
Declaring this mission unsafe.
Yeah. The hell?
I have lost too many people. I am not leaving you behind. Let's get her on
He's
board.
strong.
Not just physically, but like as a captain.
Well, that's because his whole thing is he wants to prove himself as a captain, and he absolutely is. Ooh.
Oh, he hit the bottom.
Oh, it's broken. I love the design of the ship.
Satanic Thunderbirds.
But that's the design of the ship's almost very sort of like 1950s.
You know how we were talking before about geography not working in New Earth? I feel like
Yeah.
it's the exact opposite in this. Like,
Oh
it's,
god, yeah.
it's so good.
Maybe that's the panic.
Battle. Man against beast. I don't know if we're getting this either. Hope so. Anyway.
That's the Holy Grail. Oh, there he is. Oh, it's Satan. Looks like an old God of War boss.
Hold on. Wait a minute, you said it. Oh! Yes! You spoke.
The cocaine is creeping in.
Yeah.
Intelligible. Because if you're escaping, then I've got to stop you. Am I with it? And then you're clever enough to use this whole system against me. The rocket loses protection, falls into the black hole. I'll have to sacrifice Rose. She's just a victim. Well, she belongs to this universe. Out of that whole pan thing. If I believe in one thing, just one thing, I believe in her.
Really does look like Thunderbird 3, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That shit freaked me out as a kid.
Yeah. Wow.
Go to hell.
What? They should all die.
No, because he got the seatbelts on.
It's a vacuum. It's a vacuum.
Oh, yeah, I know. But
All their
What?
heads should just fucking explode instantly.
Blush. Maybe they had a reserve thing
Yeah.
to prevent, like gravity seatbelts had a reserve of oxygen, but
Yeah.
it was unbuckled, so it got flung, and then blast shields are up. I guess
the Virgin is dead. Then so they.
it was a virgin sacrifice.
The thing is, they're about to die anyway, so she's like, "Get the fuck out of here. Go to hell."
Go to hell. Wait. Oh. Go back home. Oh, that's not good either. Get out of here.
Aww. You can actually see the fear in their eyes. That's crazy good makeup.
This is a celestial massacre.
Of course. Gravity schmavity.
Did he just say, well, one of them?
Take, give me Rose Tyler, I'll give you Ida Scott.
Yay!
Oh, so romantic. Oh, look at that.
That's a cheeky laugh.
You never really said. You two. Who are you?
Oh, stuff of legend.
All the ood. Let's say all the ood.
Goodbye, Ood.
Jake, the Satan Pit.
Yeah.
Your initial reaction?
It was pretty good. There were some points I didn't like that much, but
Are they detailed, or can you go over them now?
just more over dramatic. And
Over dramatic.
yeah, I like a bit. I don't know.
It was, sorry, excuse me, it was more sort of like blockbuster dramatic as opposed to emotionally dramatic, you mean?
Yeah, it was like super forced
Yeah.
instead of
You
being
think-
like more not nonchalant, but like I said in the previous.
Specifically, can you point out a part you mean? Because I'm interested to know.
Definitely what's his name, Jefford.
Oh, when he died?
Yeah,
died.
when he
Shaft,
died,
yeah.
I was a bit like,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. To me, I mean, I guess just because I've seen so much shit where people die in that exact same way, it's just
Yeah.
a bit boring to watch.
What, the
it.
self-sacrifice?
Yeah, and the
team.
speech and stuff like that. And,
Yeah, true.
Like
I suppose.
all that stuff. Like I'm not attached to the character in any way whatsoever, so
Yeah.
it's just a bit of a throwaway for me. The "go to hell" phrase as well. It's lame. Really,
Yeah.
it's just.
I mean, I'm into shitty puns, so I liked it.
Yeah. What else was there? I really liked the Ida and Doctor moments. Those were nice.
Yeah,
and,
they were
like,
beautiful.
they were very intimate, and like you just saw a side of the Doctor who was like more intrigued and like
Vulnerable?
yeah, like he didn't care that he was going to lose his life.
Mm.
He was just committed to
Yeah.
discovering.
Well, I suppose we'll get into the Doctor now.
Yeah.
I think the Doctor is brilliant in this.
Yeah.
The way he, from the start, you get that scene. Adam was outside for it, but you get the scene where he's standing over the pit, like
Yeah.
abyss, saying like, "There's
And
that
he's- and he-
impulse in your brain of go
Yeah.
on, go on, go on."
Yeah.
And I think that sort of ties into not only obviously we talked about the Doctor's like curiosity and whatnot in the first part, but specifically the 10th Doctor. A lot of the time he's in some ways compared to like he's teenagerish.
Yeah.
And I like that he has this sort of unnerved prefrontal cortex where he takes bold steps,
Yeah.
big risks, because he sort of, it's like he has the same curiosity that Doctor always has, but this particular version of him is very unpredictable in that sense. The fact that he's like makes decisions quite quickly,
Yeah.
yet at the same time has so much knowledge and power, having lived for 900 years. I find that so interesting, the fact that you are balancing a teenager's impulses and an ancient soul's knowledge and wisdom.
Yeah.
Yet he still has such low understanding of concepts beyond his own knowledge,
Yeah.
like with religion and devils and belief.
Well, he's got a very like logical approach to religion.
But
you know?
but in the final climax, it seemed like his sort of logical approach wasn't getting him the right answers, so he had to think outside the box.
Yeah, he had to think in the realms of faith.
And there's that whole sequence where he sees the painting, sees the jars, and sees the devil. I'm so captivated by David Tennant's performance.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't like the way they cut it.
you don't like the jump cuts.
Yeah. I mean, I get what it was because it was trying to like make the pace seem way faster and like there's more.
I think there's something
danger
in
going on.
Tooth and Claw where he's doing like the cocaine cuts. You could
The
call it.
library, yeah.
Yeah, the cocaine cuts where he's like figuring out like, oh yes.
I like they worked, but just like personally, I don't know.
It might have been better if it was like a slow pull into him when he came finally to when the
Yeah.
penny dropped and it was like, oh.
Like
as it
the
was-
scene
yeah.
from is it Jaws?
I think the problem was also is the angles of the cameras weren't as varied.
The reason
Yeah.
why is because it was shot at one angle and they reversed it.
Alright.
That's why it looks strange.
So if they had like a side on and then
Yeah.
like a close and then a
But for
wide,
me,
like that,
whilst I
that'd be
do I see what you're saying, that for me that is such a minor detail because I'm so captivated to the performance that it shines through that.
nice. Well, yeah, the performance is great.
But ultimately, yeah, I do think it would have been better had they shot it more naturally, I
Yeah.
suppose. But the Doctor in general as a character in this episode is so, for me, is pitch perfect Tennant.
Yeah.
You haven't said much, Adam.
Because I can't.
Uh,
But he was great. He's really good in this. I love when the Doctor is on the back foot and challenged. And when he's literally faced with what could be Satan. And he's just like, well, I've just got to have guttural faith that Rose is going to do the right thing. So that we're going to prevent the devil from getting to Earth. And
I think it's good that it's happened here. I like that this story has taken place far into the journey. Because if
Yeah.
this had taken place early in like series 1, for example, I don't think it would feel natural for him to have that kind of faith.
no.
But because they've been together for so long, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like after the events of parting of the ways, it becomes much more believable.
Well, I mean, he was saying how he's seen all sorts of gods, and a lot of people say that the bad wolf entity from Parting of the Ways is, in a lot of ways, is kind of like a demigod.
Well, yeah,
And-
it's like a god of time almost.
So, yeah, that whole theme of faith, I think, is brilliant.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you get the scene at the start where the Beast is talking to them, and he's like basically talking about each character,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
for example, like the Virgin and the one with
The boy who lied.
the boy who lied, the girl who's so far from home, that sort of thing. But what I like about that is straight after that, the Doctor uplifts them with things he likes about all of them. It's a contrast of light and dark.
It's like the Doctor is Space Jesus.
Yeah. But I just think it's so. This is one of those episodes that really brings out the Doctor's Time Lord self,
Yeah.
rather than when he's sort of in a natural Earth stance where he's just sort of showing off his personality.
He feels like he has a purpose in being the Lord of Time. Like there's a sense of purpose that is usually associated with faith, generally speaking.
Yeah.
That it seems to invigorate him in this episode, which I think is fascinating that they'll do in this family show. Take this hero and then be like, what is his faith and what challenges his faith, and is there a god, is there a devil, is there this, is there that?
Yeah. It's just like when we got to Dalek after seeing the first 5 episodes and completely showing a different side of the character you hadn't seen before.
Yeah. Imagine if Eccleston was in this episode. What would that be like?
It would be different.
Yeah.
It would be different, but I don't know.
I think he would fit into it.
Yeah, I think he could do it. I just think that the way Tennant performs as an actor, I wouldn't want to lose that.
No.
He's so good in this.
Well, because most of the second half of the episode for him is a monologue. Even though he is talking,
Oh, yeah.
even though he's talking to Ida, and then he's talking to the body of the devil. It's no one's replying to him. It's
Exactly.
just him by himself.
Well,
He's
yeah.
got nothing to play off of.
When we talked about in the Dalek review about how Eccleston had to act in front of a solitary object, you know, the Dalek, and
Yeah.
brought so much energy to it, it's the same thing here. Tennant is talking to a green screen, basically, with
Yeah.
markings on it, yet he makes it feel so real,
Yeah.
and he has so much energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the scene where he's on the rope and there's just a black background.
It's just nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like when he goes to the prison, it's like its own little realm, its
Yeah.
own little pocket universe.
And in terms of the David Tennant cocaine meter, I'd say for the most part he was sober, but at the end he started to sniff a bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
He was a sniffy boy.
Yeah, when he started to sort of figure out his plan towards the end.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, what can I say? I just thumbs up for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything else?
No.
No, he's good.
Right, Rose. Jake, you start.
She had more of a role in this. Like, it kind of switched from being just the Doctor's perspective to sort of both of them. Obviously, because
now they're separated. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she was good.
She plays more of a leadership role than she usually does, which I think shows the sort of development of her travel.
That's
knowledge.
Yeah, that's what I absolutely love. Is she's thinking, what would the Doctor do? What would the Doctor do? What would the Doctor do? But she still has this kind of. She's much more human, obviously. So she's like.
Well, she makes a lot more mistakes. And,
Yeah.
and
But that makes her so endearing in terms of like, okay, we just can't give up. There's a small chance. We got to take it.
Yeah.
And it's that constant optimism, even though she doesn't necessarily believe it herself, even though it's, again, it's coming around to this idea of blind faith. Just, doing it on a whim because you believe in this idea that it could be achieved, right? And it's she believes in the Doctor. That's kind of her faith.
yeah.
But that she uses that to motivate her, and she makes mistakes, but she's constantly pushing through, and she's really handy and capable, like when she gets rid of Toby by yeeting him out of the front of the spaceship. Yeah. She's good.
She was. Very good.
Yeah, and it's themes is one of those things that gets a little bit overdone when it comes to reviews of films and television, because I feel like a lot of people tend to overstate themes. Like, for example, you could say that about anything. Like, you could say something terrible has a good theme. It's like, but the execution doesn't do it well. But I genuinely feel like the themes that are presented in this story are executed so well, with the themes of faith and all that within all the characters. The whole thing blends together.
Yeah.
Excellently. Yeah. One of the things that I like about two-parters, and especially in classical when stories get longer, is when characters get separated for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And that's much more. It's, again, we've made a lot of comparisons to Idiot's Lantern in the last two videos, but I have to do it again just to show the difference between what works and what doesn't. Because Idiot's Lantern, at the end, there is a reuniting between Rose and the Doctor, but it feels so forced. You got the Mario guitar track and it's all just lovey-dovey and whatever. But they haven't been separated for that long, and it feels a bit like over-pushed.
Yeah.
Whereas here, when they reunite at the end, it actually feels like they've been away from each other for a long time.
They also assume they were both dead.
Yeah. And it's believable that you'd be that just over the world to actually get out of that situation and see each other again. The stakes are much higher and it's much better executed, in my opinion. And even as a kid, I remember just seeing the smiles on their faces always filled me with joy. Yeah. Excellent. What's next? So we'll go to the Beast and Toby Z again. So obviously this time we got the actual physical form of the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I actually was anticipating there to be no physical form, and but I did like the idea that the physical form and the idea and the mind were separated, and that Toby was meant to survive as the mind to spread the evil. But I think it was cool, and it looked rudimentary, but I wasn't expecting something. I got a lot more than what I was expecting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I really like the whole fact of the Doctor sort of exposing that this is the shell of the beast rather than the full form.
Yeah.
And that's great, because if it was just the devil in its form with all its power, it would be kind of like, well, it's just sort of this unbeatable force. But because this story explores faith and its components, and also the fact that this beast is quite a mystery, you don't really know what it is, I think it makes for a good sort of... No, it's not quite a villain, because most villains tend to be quite active in the story, whereas this is sort of quite almost environmental.
Yeah.
It's very odd, and it's quite a creative way to have a challenge for the characters, I think. The fact that it's takes the form of this beast shape, but it's imprisoned in a perfect prison where if it escapes, it dies, it goes into the black hole. But it can control the minds of others around through fear.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yep.
And the CGI, it's BBC TV budget. I think they did pretty well.
Yeah, I think it looked good.
And the design is cool, even if the textures are a bit, by today's standards, dull looking in terms of the rendering.
Yeah.
But it's
I like the
design's great.
The art of it. This is a very artistically.
In 2006 would have been like, whoa.
Yeah, I distinctly remember it being like mind blowing as a kid.
Mm.
Like, what the fuck? You don't see this on TV.
Yeah.
You don't see giant CGI creatures.
Mm. Yeah.
It also helped that we only ever saw it from the waist up as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Mm.
I wonder if it's got goat legs.
Oh, probably.
And the Ood as well, unfortunately, had to go. They had to
The
die.
Ood were eradicated.
And it's not... The saddest thing about it is it's not even their fault.
No.
They didn't even do anything wrong.
Innocent bystanders.
Exactly. And that, again, it ties into the whole thing of them being slaves by nature.
Yeah.
The fact that they get tossed out. Not intentionally. It's not like the Doctor didn't want to save them. He did. He just didn't have the time to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, because you see, obviously throughout when they're possessed, it's quite scary. But after the beast has been sort of relinquished, Adam commented, you said you can see the despair in their eyes. Like they've just...
And it's probably a lot to do with the physicality of the actors wearing the suits, but just the way they were cowering and holding each other. It was a very, you could tell that they felt. They weren't just blank slates.
Yeah.
They clearly did
But also,
have thoughts.
like it was said in the previous episode, they just die if they don't have anyone to give them
orders.
commands anymore.
Yeah.
So they've lost they basically had found their purpose in life, and then their purpose in life had been taken away.
Yeah.
So it's just sad.
So they just stopped
Yeah.
and
again,
escape.
Doing something like that, like a slavery massacre in a family show, is quite an interesting choice.
It is obvious that they didn't allude to it was literally a mass genocide, because it is a family show. But if you do watch it as an older person, you go holy, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I like that. I think the best kind of family content is if you're old enough to know, you know.
Yeah.
Because when you're a kid, you're just like, oh, the Ood, I like them, they're gone.
Yeah.
But now looking at it, it's like, whoa, that's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Ooh.
And the side characters. So yeah, you mentioned what was her name? The one that was with the Doctor.
Ida.
Yeah. She kind of took the role of the secondary companion in this episode. Like you said, I really liked the dialogue between them about faith and religion.
She did come across as a naive human in a way, the naivety of her, like the Doctor sort of enjoyed pointing out the flaws of her as a human.
Yeah, and going back to what I said in Impossible Planet about the 10th Doctor's ego, we were talking about how he manipulated Zachary Cross Flame into not going down so he could go.
Yeah.
There's a moment it's not quite the same, but there's a moment like this in this episode where she says, but I'm going to die up here. And he says, I know.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, I'm going to leave you behind because my curiosity is too strong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, it shows that whilst the Doctor does have a sense to, do the right thing, save people, at the same time, when it really comes down to it, sometimes his natural impulse is to explore rather than
To save.
He'd rather find out what's going on here than comfort her while she dies. And again, morally messed up again, the fact that the only reason she survived is because of that, because he went down.
Yeah.
Again, it's that whole leap of faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very thought-provoking story, and I think those are the best.
Yeah.
The ones that make you really think about the morals of the characters, and it's much better than if the Doctor was just a nice person, Mary Sue, great, just hero, haha, save the day, no nuance. Whereas something like this actually really thinks, is he a good man? Is he not? But it's not overplayed. It's very subtle. So yeah. What else? The other side. Most of the side characters were dead by this point.
Yeah.
I mean, all the characters sort of just continued and finished through their arc that they were going through already. They didn't grow or change much. They just died or escaped. Really, they were all great, but they became much more secondary.
They were kind of on the run. Most of them,
but by the latter half of the episode, they were so periphery. It was just like, okay, they're basically, getting through the tunnels. Okay, so basically, as soon as they were out of the tunnels, it was, this is the Doctor and the Devil's episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this episode, in terms of, because I was talking about pacing last time, I think this episode's pacing is excellently crafted because they got all of the escape the base out of the way before the Doctor went down into the pit. And I think that was a really good decision, because if you'd been cutting between them, it wouldn't have felt good, like natural.
Yeah.
So to make the decision to have the action at the start and then get into the really heavy stuff towards the end was a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the plot, I mean, sort of continuing off the last one, like we said, very much revolving around, obviously you got the scientificness of the black hole and escaping in the ship and the pit.
But it more became about religion and faith this time instead of sci-fi.
Yeah. And like you said in the last review, as someone who's, you said you're quite sort of neutral or even atheist about the whole religion thing. Did you find that interesting to watch?
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of religion and its many facets and cults and communities, and like I really am intrigued by the culture surrounding it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And the history and the stories and but I don't like the morals of it. But aside from that, I find the like the mythology surrounding religion really intriguing.
Well, some of the best stories in fiction are based on a lot of stories that are told within religious text.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also imagery as well. And one thing that crossed my mind when you were talking about that was, at the start they were talking about all the different like religions, and the Doctor was sort of saying like, yeah, there's this and that, but what's the truth?
Yeah.
But then by the end of the episode, the Doctor realizes the truth is what he believes.
Yeah.
So it's almost like he almost learnt something from that.
Yeah, and I think that's also a good lesson to people in real life. It's like you just believe what you want to believe.
Yeah.
If you want to be a Christian, you can be a Christian. Do it.
Yeah, and talking about episodes that challenge the Doctor, this is one of the big ones for me, I think.
Yeah.
It's such a good idea. Yeah. Is there anything else we want to say about the characters of the plot before we get into the clip?
The clip.
The clip.
Roll it, Johnny.
Right. So, I've written down here, I'm not 100% sure which ones they are, I'm sure I'll be able to find them easily. But there are two clips that we're going to be watching from
Yeah.
Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pyramids of Mars is the story with the villain Sutek, who was voiced by Gabriel Wolf, who also did The Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Oh high, oh powerful, most noble Lord, thy humble servant welcomes thee. Master, at last you have served you faithfully through the thousands of years that you have slept. We have guarded the secret of your tomb.
Stand. Look upon my face.
Great one,
Is this the face of Sutek? He needs no other. I bring Sutek's gift of death.
Sutek. That's not Sutek though.
That's the servant of Sutek, but it's
Yeah.
got the voice.
Of Gabriel. Right.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, how was that?
Yeah.
I remember I think the first time I saw that, I was about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And yeah, that cliffhanger scared me.
I love the way every step he takes, smoke comes out of his feet. Like it's like he's not supposed to belong in this world. Like it's like he's burning the world as he touches
Yeah,
it.
and the fact that when he puts his hands on him,
The smoke comes out
the
of his
smoke
head.
comes
Yeah,
out, it burns, and
it's so simple, but it's
it's
so
a
cool.
family show. But Pyramids of Mars is one of the stories that I feel like has some of the best imagery in the show. Like, I love the visual of when he comes out of the sarcophagus, when it's
Yeah.
like all the lights flashing.
Yeah.
It's very creative.
Evil? Your evil is my good. I am Sutek the Destroyer. Where I tread, I leave nothing but dust and darkness. I find that good.
There you go.
That's the clip.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that.
I am Sutek.
So yeah, same voice, very similar.
Is that the
character.
only time you see Sutek? Or do you see it quite a bit?
Well, you hear his voice, and you obviously there's the servant that came in the clip you saw. But the main portion of when you see him is in like the latter two episodes, I think. I
I
think
think the cliffhanger of the third or the second to
I
last
think-
episode is.
I think that was episode 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, where he comes
Yeah.
in right at the end, I think,
Yeah.
and then the fourth episode he's there
Yeah.
quite prominently.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of people that say that Impossible Planet Satan Pit is like New Who's Pyramids of Mars,
Yeah.
because they are quite similar. Because in the last episode of Pyramids of Mars, the Doctor goes into a pyramid where Sutek is lying, similar to how he goes into the pit. Yeah, very satanic.
Whoa.
But yeah,
I find that.
but yeah, I think Gabriel Wolf's voice is very chilling.
It's like an audible velvet.
So, the reception. This episode, The Satan Pit, was broadcast on Saturday after 666.
Ooh.
Damn.
Asan Haiku, I think, is some reviewer. Says generally positive and praised the CGI that animated the beast, though he noted that the Doctor made some logical leaps. I don't think so, because that's the whole point.
It's about the leap of faith.
Yeah. So if you're looking at it from a very literal stance, you may think that, but that's not really what
That's
it's
not
about.
what it's about, no.
Dave Golder of SFX felt that the ambition of the story could not live up to the production values, but he praised Tennant and Piper. While he found some of the scripting misfires like an easy recovery of the TARDIS, he described the story as an action-packed ambitious, emotionally draining, and thankfully still willfully different to every other sci-fi show out there.
Yeah. I mean, he was going. If you went into that episode expecting he wasn't going to find the TARDIS, you're pretty fucking ignorant. Yeah.
Arnold T. Blamberg found it a disappointing conclusion which spent too much time getting the Doctor to the monster, only for him to confront it by ranting and raving, rather embarrassingly at a roaring CGI effect. He also criticised the Doctor's concentration on saving Rose without mentioning any other characters, and noted that a few previously unseen crew members appeared, and that entire plot threads also go nowhere. Still, he praised the acting of the guest cast, the music and the effects, concluding that the two-parter was a qualified success that offers solid character, brilliant visual design, and some thought-provoking moments damaged only by poor plotting and some glaring missed opportunities. Not sure about that, but
The Doctor becoming possessed by the devil.
Wow.
I guess, yeah, like, the only plot points that I pointed out was, breaking the window of the ship and then letting him go. Like, I mean, if you were truly in space, you'd all die instantly.
Yeah.
But,
I didn't know that.
Cinema.
I suppose it's down to the whole... what it just depends on... Because, obviously, this is in the far future. Adam was saying, well, what if the technology's developed to the point where... Say, for example...
Yeah. That's true.
Hits your window.
Something
you want a reserve.
You have like an atmospheric bubble that comes up before the blast shield.
So as long as you're strapped in, you won't be released.
Yeah.
But then Toby was obviously unstrapped, so he flew off.
He was fucked off out of there.
Yeah. So the separation between opinion that people have about this two-parter generally relates more to this one than the first one, and I think that may be to do with the fact that it has more religious subtext.
And also the fact that you see the beast, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think if the beast was implied, or if it was like say there was like a big billowing flame and you could sort of make out the shapes of a demonic face, right? As opposed to seeing a literal demon, people might perceive it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But the thing is, on the contrast to that, like I said, I really like the whole concept of this is a beast, like that he appears, and you're like, oh, that's what the devil looks like. But then it's actually revealed that it's the shell of the beast, so it's almost like it's parodying like the visual of the devil.
Yeah.
There's like a metaphorical.
It's saying like no matter how big and strong you are, it doesn't matter if you don't have your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, Matt Jones wrote this again, second part. Unfortunately, he doesn't return to Doctor Who.
Ever?
Nope. But he does write again in this universe, but not not Doctor Who. He does some spin-off material.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So,
Why did he never return? I guess he just
don't know.
wasn't good enough.
Maybe he only likes doing satanic stories.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Fucking Satan worshiper.
But yeah.
There's no more satanic stories ever.
Well, it's not. I'm not saying that it isn't satanic stories. What I'm saying is that there's no more Matt Jones specifically.
Right.
It's not like that he's the only person that can do a satanic story.
Yeah.
But we never know if he does it, if there is more or not.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there's no more of him, and the reason might be because he's only suited to this one genre, and you don't want to do the same thing again. Like
Or maybe he just didn't want to keep doing Doctor Who. Maybe he just wanted
possible.
to branch off.
I mean, Rob Sherman didn't come back.
No.
He only did Dalek.
And then he got mad at you on Twitter.
He did, actually.
It wasn't actually mad, but it was
I'm not sure if I told you this, Jake, but I had a conversation with Rob Sherman on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I can't tell you. It's about something from.
It's a big spoiler.
Wait,
It's from
why do you get angry at you?
Oh, I can't say. It's a disagreement of opinion on the show.
Was it like did it get a bit heated?
No, because I wasn't intending it to get heated.
No,
Right.
it was very respectful, but it was a dispute.
Right.
Yeah, but he wasn't. He definitely assumed that I was something that I wasn't.
Right. What?
You'll see.
We'll see.
We'll get to it.
Oh.
I'm sure it'll be brought up later on.
Unless he deletes them, but whatever. Yeah, he doesn't return, but he does return elsewhere, and you'll hopefully get to see that. Director James Strong, again, I thought he was
Pretty strong.
pretty strong. Great visuals. You did mention about the jump cuts. I suppose that's a fair
I mean, they work.
point.
Yeah, I just personally, I don't like jump cuts. Well, I don't like that style of editing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it still worked.
Yeah. But I think overall it's a
I think everything was
visual masterpiece, and I think especially the pit, like the abyss, when he's on the rope, is again, it's an iconic scene for me. The visualization.
I think the whole thing was toy.
Yeah, and there's
Point.
and when he's not just with the abyss, but when they're shooting around his face, the close-ups on him, like not just from the front, but there's one from the side, I think is really well shot.
Yeah.
I really like that a lot. And also the claustrophobia of the vent as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously, visual CGI and whatnot as well. Murray Gold. So, for this episode, the track I'm going to be choosing is actually not from the album. But what I decided to do was, for a few reasons, one of them being that the track I'm going to show did have a lot of it is actually put in this two-parter. But the main reason why I've chosen it for this episode, aside from the fact that we've already had the Impossible Planet track, which means that there's no other thing on the CD that has from this episode, so what I've decided to do is, there is a suite on YouTube. I can't remember the name. I'll put it there if anyone wants to know. And I'll link the video to it down below so you guys can give it a view, so that because this person has done the pleasure of putting the suite together. It is a suite of the unreleased score from Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why I've chosen to pick it is because I think when we did those reviews, I obviously showed the Daleks theme when we did Bear Wolf, and I showed the Doctor's theme when we did Parting of the Ways. But recently re-listening to that score again, I feel like it's such a big landmark in Murray Gold's Doctor Who career. And also the fact that you loved that story so much, I want to revisit it. Mm-hmm. And I put it here because some of the tracks were reused in this, so I thought it was appropriate.
Yeah.
But Bear Wolf Parting of the Ways is some of my favourite Murray Gold work in the whole show, and I think that the YouTuber that made this video, whilst most unreleased scores that get released online tend to have aren't exactly mixed very well because it's obviously not CD quality.
Yeah.
This particular one, I think he's done a really good job at making it sound very natural.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's still parts in it that don't sound quite right, but overall, as unreleased scores go, I think this is about as good as you can get from like a home, like doing it from home. And I wouldn't, when it comes to unreleased, I wouldn't do it unless I absolutely thought that we had to review it. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because I adore this score. So strap yourself in, because it's 13 minutes long.
Oh.
So
Jesus.
yeah, it's a big one. But
should we plug my speakers in for it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
let's
mate.
do it.
Go ahead. And just for the camera, I'm going to say it's called The Ninth Doctor's Last Stand, and the link will be in the description. Give it a view, give it a like, because it is a beautiful rip of that story. So yeah.
It was beautiful, man. Yeah.
this is ripped from the episodes.
Just really good mix.
Captain Jack Harkness. When he pulls the gun out of his bum. See John Barrowman like smiling. Hey ladies, your viewership just went up.
It's like a nice interlude. Wow. Wow. Grand. So how much of that was used in the episode?
All of it.
Oh yeah.
That was ripped from the episode, so the only source they had was what?
No, from the episode we just watched.
Oh, right, same bit. There are bits and pieces that are used. Like there's an action theme that plays after Jack's bit ends. Like that's used in quite a lot of episodes. It's used in Dalek, it's used in Dr. Dances, and it's used in this two-parter as well.
Right.
There's bits and pieces here and there that are used.
And the
Oh yeah,
it's very briefly,
the
but
Doctor's theme, yeah.
I think it's just before he unlatches himself and drops. I think that plays.
But yeah, what do you think? Do you like that?
Yeah. It was chopped and changed, eh? A lot.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of different parts of the story, but I
Yeah.
feel like as a complete score, it's the big thing for me in terms of musically is that what Murray Gold did was he took, because obviously Bad Wolf is based on game shows. He took the kind of sampled music you get in game shows, like the music that plays when it's on.
Yeah.
But then he distorts it and makes it sound so just it's
Soundtracky.
unsettling. There's one particular bit in there that's always stuck with me. It's in the episode Bad Wolf. It's when he looks up. He's escaped the Big Brother, and he realizes it's Satellite 5.
Yeah.
And then he sees Bad Wolf Corporation, and it's the bit where it goes, and it's quite a spine-chilling score to go along with the story.
Yeah.
But I would say the climax is the part that I remember the most, because I remember as a kid, like, that bit at the end when that theme plays is, in my childhood, was like, I'm a Doctor Who fan now.
Yeah.
So I always associate this score with me becoming a fan of this show. So it's got quite a personal connection with me as well.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned this before. I only have one really minor quibble towards the end when he's regenerating.
Oh yeah, that's because that's because they reuse part of it to do it again. Because the part that you're talking about is actually part of the climax as well. It's just they reuse it again when he's regenerating.
But that's not my issue. Not the fact that it's reused, but the minor sort of, in terms that I guess it's sort of deliberately a bit confusing because Rose doesn't know what the fuck's going on. But there's a part where there's a string section and a piano, and there's something off the piano. In my ears, it just they don't gel together. It's very sort of incongruous. But that's like a minor quibble in what is a masterpiece of music, especially considering most of it was like what, MIDI. I think.
Well, it's sampled. It's all sampled. There's
Yeah.
no choir. There's no big grand thing.
Exactly.
The only because talking about minor quibbles, the only minor quibble I have is that because it's sampled, there's one section where it's got like a that sounds a little bit too.
Sounds like drum and bass almost.
Yeah, it's too. It sounds like I downloaded this MP3 on.
But the thing I like about that is what you were saying before about the game show music.
Exactly,
Because
yeah.
that's, I think, from the Big Brother escape, when he gets out of the Big Brother house.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the music you would hear on Big Brother.
And I think it's kind of a happy coincidence that because Murray Gold was limited to sampled music for Series 1 because they didn't have the budget for an orchestra, the fact that the finale revolves around a concept that uses sampled music is actually a kind of marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And for me, this is phenomenal. I adore this score. I've listened to it many times and it never gets old. Just all the different phases it goes through. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But yes, moving on. But yeah, overall, going back to the same pit, did you think Murray Gold's music was good?
And there was also a point early on when they're first really talking about the devil as a concept, but I think it's with the Doctor and Ida, and you hear a church organ, which brings this kind of very biblical element to it, which I really liked. It sort of had this level of, oh shit, he's going to appear on a stained glass window, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I just,
I remember that part,
that slightly gothic, very larger than life kind of Notre Dame feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, Murray Gold's a genius. It's fucking unbelievable. What is it time for, Jake?
Trivia.
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 So the first trivia is not from online, it's actually from my own personal story. So when I first watched Doctor Who on repeat, I saw Age of Steel. I glanced at Idiot's Lantern and went, I don't know what that is. And my friend Luke watched it and he's like, oh, it's got the scary TV thing. I'm like, yeah, but there's something wrong with that. Something wrong with this episode. I don't like it. It's or is bad. Then I watched. I knew even as a 10-year-old that it was shit.
Yeah.
Then I watched Impossible Planet. I was absolutely fucking captivated. I was like, this is some of the best television I've ever watched. And then what happened was I got in trouble with my mother and I was banned from watching the next episode. So I missed the Satan Pit. So the first time I ever saw this episode in full was 2017.
Really?
Yeah. I saw the section at the end when he's talking to the devil in about 2009 or 10 or 11, something like around then. But the first time I saw the Satan Pit in full was 2017.
Yeah.
Similar to Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel, where I saw Age of Steel in 2006, but I saw Rise of the Cybermen in 2017.
Wow.
So it's weird how that works with two-parters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I missed this, and I was pissed off about it. I was like, because I asked him, how was it? He's like, it's favorite episode ever, and I was like, well, fuck, don't be naughty, you'll miss out on good stuff. I would imagine if I would have been so much better if I'd missed Idiot's Lantern. Like
2017 is when you watched it.
For the first time in full, the second part.
A decade after it came out.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 11 years after it came out.
Yep. Yeah. But yeah. So weird how that works, but
Yeah.
The Torchwood Archive is mentioned.
Yes, it is.
Zachary Cross Flame is associated with the Torchwood Archive.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Torchwood, in whatever form it takes, took, well, from starting with Queen Victoria, obviously, in Tooth and Claw. They are still... They didn't specify whether or not they're active, but considering it was an archive, it seems like Torchwood's existence has reached to the future, so they obviously know about it. It's a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was quite a neat little nod to the repeated meme.
Well, yeah, it's the overarching arc, isn't it?
Mm.
It's like the Bad Wolf, eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently the production team had a hard time deciding what would be at the bottom of the pit.
Yeah.
The episode was nearly going to miss the transmission date.
Holy shit.
According to David Tennant on the Impossible Planet commentary, the episode was delivered on the Friday of the week, causing reviewers not to get press copies of the episode who were eager to review it. Some came to ask if it was due to the content. This was only due to the late post-production schedule that the episode was involved in. So, as I said before, benefit in terms of a writing stance, this episode was filmed last for Series 2. However, because of that, it meant that the post-production schedule was shorter.
Yeah.
And they had to develop a CGI beast and all the other stuff around it within a very tight schedule, and they only finished it the Friday before it was... So, the episodes air on Saturday nights, and...
They finished on the Friday before.
It's finished the day before.
That's hilarious.
It's the classic fix it and post, isn't it?
Yeah.
They finished it the day before it was about to be brought out. So I'm just thinking, like, if this episode was filmed earlier, they probably would have had better texture CGI for the beast. But I would rather the way we had it with the nuanced writing.
Yeah.
Because that's far more valuable to me than
absolutely
a nice looking devil.
The Transformers had CGI, but the scripts and blah blah blah. So.
There are references to Frontier in Space, the Daemons, and Genesis of the Daleks. We noticed the Daemons one actually.
Yeah, that's right. It took me a second.
Obviously, the Daemons is, again, it's another satanic story of sorts, though it's sort of surrounded in contrasty elements because it's obviously a unit story. The TARDIS tractor beam has been used before in The Creature from the Pit and Delta and the Bannerman. Creature from the Pit we have reviewed on this channel, and we noticed that, and we're like, huh.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things we've always thought is like about this story is like how does the TARDIS have a tractor beam? It's like it's never really explained, but then we saw it actually happen in a classic story, so it's canon that it's got that ability to drag something with a tractor beam.
Yeah.
I don't remember Delta and the Bannerman.
It's just noise at this point.
Yeah. The Doctor states that the Time Lords invented black holes, which is also stated in The Three Doctors, The Deadly Assassin, and Remnants of the Daleks.
I'm pretty sure the line is, he said, my race invented them. Well, one in particular, which I think is Omega.
Right.
So the Time Lords invented black holes in this universe.
Yeah.
It's Omega's a classic Doctor Who villain.
Yeah.
Right.
It's in the old series.
Yeah.
And like in the Three Doctors, that episode that they mentioned.
Yeah. Isn't it like that Omega was the one that just basically discovered time travel?
And then Rassilon stole it from him.
Ah, yes.
And then I think Rassilon kicked him into a black hole, and that's why he ends up where he does.
Ah, yes.
And
true.
that's why he's like, fuck the Time Lords, because he's like, damn you, Rassilon. I love the law. I think it's that way. I think Rassilon's the one who betrayed him.
Yeah, but I think it makes so much sense though that the Time Lords are the ones that invented black holes.
Yeah.
So it actually explains why they exist. The Ood's communication balls / weapons are practical props, but when the Ood are holding them, but CGI when they're used as weapons to shock people.
That makes sense.
Alternate forms for the beast included an old man, a gigantic eye, or a young girl inspired by one of the avatars of the senior partners, an angel, or a mutated future human. Giant eye.
The Eye of Sauron.
I shouldn't do that with my voices like this.
Imagine if it was just an old man, imagine Anthony Hopkins or Ian McKellen just sitting there as Satan. Or just Gabriel Wolf just sitting there.
How about that? I've been expecting you.
Apparently the alternate monster... oh yes. Okay, so this is going back to a trivia from Dalek. So in Dalek, I made a trivia point that there was a monster that they were going to use if they couldn't get the rights to the Daleks.
Yeah.
So that monster that was considered for that episode was also considered for this one.
Right.
But they didn't end up using it. But it's still some way down the track. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think I've said it to you before.
You have told me, but I've forgotten. But you don't have to remind me. Because I don't want to give any spoilers.
But it does appear at some point.
Yeah.
They're just trying to find a way to fit it in.
Yes.
Russell T Davies said that in order to inspire the design of the beast, he sent the visual designers at the mill images of paintings by Simon Bisley, a comics artist known for muscular grotesqueries. Did he do the design for The Incredible Hulk 2008? Because that's muscular grotesquerie.
He may have been inspired by.
Possible. Well, it came after.
No, I mean the Hulk may
Oh,
have been
right.
inspired by his designs.
Yeah, true. Certainly wasn't inspired by 2003, that's for sure.
Where's a big balloon?
He's a big Shrek balloon.
Doesn't he hit his dick on a tank?
He does a lot of things. The shots of characters floating in space was done by filming them underwater
In a
and
rotisserie.
removing the air bubbles.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's why they got this whole floaty effect. It's actually a practical effect of them floating.
Very cool.
The crew only had about 15 minutes left to get the scene where the Doctor gives his big speech to the devil in the pit done. David Tennant nailed it in one take.
Good on, Davey.
And again, that might be another reason why the jump cuts don't quite work, because it's
Yeah.
on one take.
Yeah, not enough time.
Yeah. But bloody hell, that actor.
Trust the tenant.
Trust the tenant. Viewership. Overnight was 5.5.
Ooh.
Ended up totaling at 6.1. This could be explained by the unusually hot countrywide weather combined with the first England game of the 2006 World Cup.
Oh, that'll be it.
The Satan Pit would hold the record for the lowest viewing figures of an episode in the new series until a a certain point. So this is the lowest point the viewership gets for a very long time.
Right. Well, that sucks.
But it's mainly because of hot weather.
Circumstances.
Late in the series as well. Late in the series, hot weather, and the 2006 FIFA World Cup.
Yeah.
However,
Maybe that's what the pit is referring to. Dropping ratings.
true. However, I will bring up some trivia about the 2006 FIFA World Cup later on. Not this episode, but another one. Because we'll get to that. But it's some interesting trivia about that. But we'll see. Okay, so Jake, give your conclusion and rating out of 10 for the Sega Pit.
My conclusion is that it was a good second part to the two-parter, and it definitely did the first part justice, I would say, and wrapped it all up. Know how I said I wanted to. I wanted it to close out all the loose ends that it had opened up, and I think it did, for the most part. And I think it was really well made, and the acting, especially David Tennant's acting, was superb. And I think my rating for it is, I think a solid 9 out of 10 again. Yeah.
You were worried when you talked about possibly, you're like, this has to be a satisfying conclusion.
Well, yeah, a lot. It's the whole sequel thing. When you make the first movie and it's really, really good, and then you release the sequel and it's just god awful.
Well, I think the trick to that is the fact that this is planned in advance.
Yeah.
So when you get a good two-parter like this, because it's planned in advance, it's all plotted to reach the end goal.
Yeah, but even so, you can still plan a terrible second half.
Oh, it's true, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I overall really enjoyed this two-parter. It's possibly my favorite one so far.
Well, you gave that Will Funny Love those things.
Yeah.
It's kind of different with their finale, though,
I can't. Yeah, that was so much better just because it was a finale. I don't know.
It has Captain Jack Harkness in it, so it has to be better.
I don't know. I can't make a statement on that. I'll redact my previous statement.
Stories are, I will say.
Yeah.
Very different in the sense that they explore much different ideas.
Yeah.
Right, it's great to hear that you won. But we thought that you would. We had a good feeling that you'd right.
Yeah. What if I just absolutely hated it? That would be funny, wouldn't it?
It's a really strong story. I really enjoy it. I really only enjoy this story if I watch them both back to back.
Yeah.
I can enjoy them by themselves, but I think it's so much better as one whole narrative, as like a feature length thing. Excuse me. That being said, this episode is really, really strong, and the characters are all really well defined. The idea of more complex and interesting themes than they normally would do on a family show. Though some of it gets a bit goofy at times, I still think it's an incredibly focused script with some brilliant performances, as Jake said. Some really impressive special effects for the time. 8 out of 10.
And my conclusion, very similar to part one. Love the concepts, love the themes, love all the things that are balanced with everything that's going on. It feels very well structured. The sort of first section of this episode, you get a brilliant insight into the Doctor's impulsive nature, yet contrasted with his ancient wisdom, along with the devil tempting and seeking fear out of the sidecast, along with a really claustrophobic action sequence in the vents that I really appreciate. And then obviously it goes into peak when starting with the Doctor abseiling into the abyss and really just bringing out some beautiful character moments with him and the side character that was with him. And then onto that with the climax, I really, really appreciate how creative it goes with tackling the Doctor's concept of religion and how it's so unknown to him, and the fact that it all comes down to, again, his belief and his faith. And I fucking think that's just such a brilliant way to handle such a... Because religion could be something that could be extremely poorly executed in fiction and could offend a lot of people. And whilst this certainly would rub some people the wrong way by nature, I think the way it's handled in this makes for an excellent story. It's scary, it's well acted, well produced, well directed, well scored, and it's a masterpiece. 10 out of 10.
So that's both episodes 10 out of 10?
Yep.
So that's 20 out of 20.
Correct.
That's 200%.
That is a full marks from me.
Wow.
Would it benefit the show to do more hardcore sci-fi like this two-parter?
Yes.
Yes. You think so?
I feel like a moderator in a debate.
What would you like to see next time?
More sci-fi.
Because you want more of this.
Nah. Is the next episode midnight?
No.
No, that's not for a while.
Oh. Something like midnight.
You just want more of this. You got the bug.
I like yeah. Yep.
Well, you'll have to wait and see for that. Because the next episode we'll be watching is Love and Monsters.
Ooh.
Alright.
Interesting.
Sounds like a Taylor Swift fucking album.
Monsters. You gotta. That's true.